Welcome to our defense briefing show, folks. We're kicking things off with some big political shakeups. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski has thrown a wrench in the Navy Secretary confirmation process, citing concerns over how the Navy's handling some issues. This move has temporarily stalled the Senate's approval, highlighting ongoing political struggles within military appointments. It's a reminder that politics and defense often go hand in hand. Next up, the Pentagon is making some major troop adjustments in Los Angeles. Most National Guard troops deployed amid protests over immigration enforcement are being pulled back, leaving only 250 troops to secure federal buildings. This reduction comes after local officials, including LA's mayor, welcomed the move, while critics like Governor Gavin Newsom call it political theater. The scene is shifting and the military's presence is shrinking, but tensions and legal battles continue. And finally, the global trade scene is heating up. With the August 1st deadline looming, many countries face higher tariffs due to unresolved trade negotiations with the U.S. Trump's administration is pushing for more domestic manufacturing, but critics say tariffs hurt U.S. companies. Countries like China and Mexico have extensions, but others like Brazil and India could face duties up to 50%. It's a global economic tug-of-war that could impact everything from prices to inflation. Please continue to stay tuned for more detailed updates. According to Yahoo US, in a dramatic turn of events, Alaska Senator has blocked the confirmation of the Navy chief, highlighting ongoing political tensions within the United States. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, the Pentagon has begun pulling back the National Guard troops initially deployed to manage protests related to the Trump administration's immigration policies. Over 4,000 troops and 700 Marines were sent to Los Angeles in early June, but recent decisions have significantly reduced this number, leaving only 250 guardsmen to safeguard federal personnel and property. Local officials, including Mayor Karen Bass, have criticized the federal presence, claiming it exacerbated tensions and was unnecessary, with some troops seen protecting federal buildings, immigration agents, and conducting operations in immigrant-heavy neighborhoods like MacArthur Park. California Governor Gavin Newsom condemned the deployment as political theater, even suing the federal government over the activation of troops without proper notification, and a legal battle ensued, with courts temporarily halting the transfer of control back to California. This withdrawal marks a contentious chapter in the federal-state relationship amid ongoing protests and political disputes over immigration enforcement. The situation in Los Angeles was characterized by a relatively limited and scattered presence of federal troops, primarily at federal buildings and during immigration raids, rather than widespread deployment across the city. The initial deployment, which was met with local resistance, was part of a broader effort to address protests that erupted over immigration crackdowns, but it quickly became a flashpoint for accusations of federal overreach and political manipulation. President Trump's administration justified the troop deployment as necessary for federal protection, but critics argued it only inflamed local unrest and politicized law enforcement. As the federal troops gradually withdrew, the city celebrated what they called a victory against what they saw as unnecessary militarization, while legal battles and political debates about the proper use of federal forces in domestic protests continued to unfold, illustrating the deep divisions over immigration policy and federal authority in the United States. The Pentagon's decision to withdraw 1,350 National Guard troops from Los Angeles has sparked concern among local officials and residents who worry about the implications for security and community stability. The move, announced amid ongoing debates over military presence in urban areas, reflects a broader shift in U.S. defense policy, emphasizing a reduction in domestic troop deployments. The remaining 250 troops stationed in Los Angeles are expected to continue supporting law enforcement and emergency response efforts, but critics argue that the withdrawal could weaken the city's readiness for potential crises, especially as tensions over civil unrest and public safety persist. Meanwhile, the global trade landscape is rapidly shifting as the United States prepares to enforce higher tariffs on dozens of countries that have yet to reach trade agreements. According to the Associated Press, the deadline set by President Trump for imposing tariffs up to 50% on exports from countries like Brazil, Canada, Taiwan, and India approaches, with many nations facing the prospect of increased duties. While some, including the European Union, the UK, and Japan, have negotiated partial agreements or received extensions, major economies such as China and Mexico are still in negotiations, with the latter granted a 90-day extension. The tariffs aim to reshape international trade dynamics, but economists warn that most of the costs are being borne by U.S. companies, fueling inflation and raising prices on imported goods. In Australia, internal party tensions threaten to complicate the country's strategic alliance with the United States over the UK-US submarine pact. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's allies are battling to contain a grassroots movement within Labour that opposes the deal, which involves the development of nuclear submarines. The factional disputes are heightened by concerns over the pact's enormous costs and uncertain benefits, with critics like former Foreign Minister Bob Carr arguing that the project could leave Australia without a sovereign submarine capacity. As the upcoming Labour conference approaches, party members are debating whether to soften or oppose language that criticizes the agreement, risking diplomatic repercussions if the anti-UK-US sentiments gain prominence and challenge the government's commitment to the alliance. The ABC reports on the recent border clashes between Thailand and Cambodia, revealing a shocking escalation in military hardware and tactics. Over 5 days, the conflict resulted in the displacement of over 300,000 civilians and at least 43 deaths, marking the deadliest confrontation in a decade. Both nations deployed advanced weaponry from across the globe, including Chinese rocket systems, Russian tanks, and Swedish fighter jets, illustrating a troubling proliferation of arms in Southeast Asia. Analysts highlight the unprecedented scale of military hardware on display, emphasizing how this escalation signals a dangerous shift towards high-intensity conflict, fueled by deepening regional alliances and external arms support. The ABC further explores how regional power dynamics are shifting, with Cambodia increasingly aligning with China, acquiring sophisticated weaponry, and distancing itself from traditional Western allies due to human rights concerns and political repression. Meanwhile, Thailand maintains a complex web of military relationships, balancing American aid with its growing reliance on Chinese military technology, especially as U.S.-Thailand defense ties have cooled post-coup. Despite their differences, both countries are armed by China, which strategically avoids encouraging full-scale war, instead acting as a balancing power that subtly influences the regional arms race and conflict escalation. The Guardian details the devastating humanitarian toll of the conflict, with allegations of war crimes and indiscriminate attacks on civilian areas. Both sides are accused of using cluster munitions and artillery that have caused widespread destruction, including the destruction of schools and hospitals, and the deaths and injuries of civilians, including children. The violence has shattered communities along the long-disputed border, with eyewitnesses describing the intensity as surpassing previous clashes. Human rights organizations call for international investigations, condemning the use of banned weapons and emphasizing the urgent need to protect civilians amid this escalating violence. The AP reports on the critical decision to continue sharing vital satellite data used for hurricane forecasting, despite previous plans to cut off access due to cybersecurity and modernization concerns. This data, essential for tracking storm development and intensity, is instrumental in saving lives and property, especially during the peak hurricane season. Scientists and meteorologists warn that losing this information could significantly impair storm prediction accuracy, risking delayed evacuations and increased destruction. The decision to maintain data flow highlights the importance of technological resilience amid climate change-driven weather disasters, underscoring the ongoing tension between modernization efforts and the need for critical environmental monitoring tools. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopsis thoughtfully curated by the 6DO team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6DO Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6DO team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6DO Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6DO Brief via email.